morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the podcast that explores the world within and out. And thank you for subscribing to Traveling Inside Out wherever you get your podcast from. And if you can leave a review, that would be amazing. Thank you. If you are listening to this podcast anytime later than Monday, just know that I'm either on my way to New York or in New York. But for now, let me tell you the story about how I called the police on a neighbor? Question mark. Okay, so everything happened on a Saturday morning when I just wanted to do my laundry. Now, for you to understand, I live in a studio that is in a house, and in the same hallway, there are four doors. I know two of my neighbors. I don't actually know the third neighbor. There is so basically there's a third name on the main door that I don't remember ever seeing that person. So it was a Saturday morning. I usually like to do my laundry in the morning, early in the morning. So it was like I think around 8ish in the morning or something like that. Um, the hallway is rather small, and there is another door that takes you to the laundry room, but the laundry room it's so small you can only do one step inside. So we have the washing machine and the laundry machine, one on top of each other, and it's so small that you can literally, like, it's the size of how you are opening the door basically, right? So I'm taking my clothes and I'm going to do my laundry, and then when to open the door, I see that the door, I can't open the door like fully. And I'm like, what the hell? And then I look down on the floor and I see some car keys that were just on the floor. And I'm like, shit, it's someone there. So I'm immediately, and I, like, that was my reaction. I'm like, oh my God. So I say that, and then I go very fast back in my place and lock the door. And I'm like, because I heard, like, I just heard a bit of someone being like, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? So immediately I panic, I go back home. It was 8 a.m. It was dark outside because it's Iceland, and when it's already end of September, when it's really rainy and so on, it's really dark outside. So it was dark, the light was not on. So I was like, whoever was in there, number one, why didn't they say anything like, hey, I'm in here? Number one. Number two, why were they staying with the light off? Number three, like, how, like, why is that key on the floor? Like, I had so many questions basically. But I decided to not do anything. And I'm like, if there was actually someone who was doing their laundry and they maybe just didn't want to turn on, I was like, whatever it is, I'm just gonna leave it. So then the time passes, and I'm doing all sorts of stuff wherever it is. And around 11, I'm like, okay, so whatever it was back then in the laundry room, must, like, it's been already 4 hours, right? So even if they were doing their laundry, technically in 4 hours, you're done. So I take again, I didn't take the clothes with me this time. I was just like, I'm just going to go and check if the laundry room is free. And I opened the door, and there's this guy in front of the laundry room, just leaning on the wall. And he had, his eyebrow was bloody. Like, one of his eyebrow was bloody. And I look at him, he looks at me, and then I guess my freeze fly or whatever is the reaction thingy was for me to go back at home, close the door, lock the door. Okay, what the hell is going on? This never happened. Like, okay, I don't think I know this guy. I don't think I've seen him before. And I'm like, what is going on? So then I'm starting to, like, already be concerned. He seemed okay. Then I'm trying to call my landlord, but he wouldn't answer, so the call wouldn't go through. And usually he's always answered all of my calls. So that was weird. So then I'm saying like, I don't know exactly what to do. All of my friends are kind of asleep, and I'm like, I don't, or like they're not answering, and I'm like, so this is the moment when Alina needs to be an adult and realize that this is not okay. Like something is wrong. Basically, this guy has been here for 4 hours. So like, what the fuck is happening? Like, and he had that thing. Then I look, so I was starting already to think, what would an adult do? Because I am one, but I don't know what am I supposed to do. Um, and then I look through, like I'm not opening the door, but I'm looking through the small. I don't know how you call it in English. I have a moment. I don't know what the word is called. The thing that you look through of your door to see what's outside. It's visor in my language. I look through and I see him like he was leaning, like he was already sitting. And then in a few minutes, I look again and he was just laying on the floor. And I'm like, is this guy okay? For a moment, I was like, dude, what if he's drunk or he's drugged or something like that? And for some reason that I can't understand, like he's not feeling okay, or like he's laying on the, or I don't know, is he sleeping or he's not feeling okay? Like I was thinking, you know what? I think I'm going to call 112, which for my listeners from United States is the 911, and I don't know in other countries what the numbers are, but in Europe is 112. So I was like, I think this is the moment when I'm going to call 112, which I've never done before, like ever. I think I almost called once by mistake. You know, when you have your phone and if you do whatever the hell to it, you might be calling by mistake. But I always like, if I'm seeing that I'm calling, then I'm always like, no, like, oh my God, I didn't have, like, no. So my friends wouldn't answer, and I'm like, what should I do? Nobody's answering, and I'm like, okay, so you know what? I'm gonna call 112 and ask if somebody can come and check on this person. I don't know if he's dangerous because I don't know. He didn't seem to be dangerous, but I know for a fact that he doesn't seem to be okay. So I'm calling 112. I tell them that the person has been there for like 4 hours. I don't think that he's looking fine. He has like a bloody eyebrow. And now he's like leaning on the wall and kind of on the floor. Like, I don't know. And so they asked for my address, which I gave it to them. And then they're like, we're going to transfer you to the police. And I'm like, okay. I was like, I didn't want for the police to get involved. I'm in Iceland. I don't know how shit works. To be completely honest, I wouldn't know how things work in Romania either. I don't know if I'm calling 112. I don't even think that in Romania they would be like, so what do you want me to do for you? I think that would be the reaction. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that would be the reaction. So I call with, so they transfer me to the police, and they're like, hi. And I'm like, I got transferred to you. So there's a guy that has been in the hallway of my building for like the whole morning. It was already starting to be 12 o'clock. And I, I think he needs help. And the first question that the police officer is asking me is, are they dead? No, are they alive? So this is what he said. Are they alive? And for a second, like I was already kind of panicky. Like I was trying to be calm when I'm talking, but I was a bit panicking. Like, what is going on? And the police officer is like, are they alive? And I'm like, wait, what? Why is this the first question you're asking me? Like, what? And so, like, with such a nonchalant voice, are they alive? I'm like, you're talking about a human being. Don't you think that I would be more panicked if I would see a dead person in my fucking hallway? Anyway, I'm saying, yes, but they don't seem to be okay. I don't know what's wrong, but they don't seem to be okay. So then they're like, okay, we're gonna send someone to your address, and I'm like, they didn't even ask for my address, and I'm like, how did they know? And I'm like, wait, I say to the other person my address, and I'm like, they didn't even ask my name, like they didn't. I'm like, don't they need like, I don't, what is going on? Like, we're just gonna send someone, and I'm like, okay, sure. Um, So time passes. Finally, some friends are answering, and they are like, "Yeah, you did the right thing. That's okay." And I'm like, "I'm a sitting duck. Like I can't escape. I'm over here, and I'm all alone in my room, in my small studio." And I'm like, "Oh God, this is so bad." So I do have to say though that for the last month there have been some crazy stories that happened in Iceland that is very unlike Iceland to happen. There were some bomb threats in some places in Iceland. There were some guns that were found that is illegal, and I think they were like a 3D made gun kind of a thing. And I also knew that they were looking for some people, and I'm like, what? Why? What if this person is someone that they are looking? I don't know how he got into the house, basically in the hallway. But I was like, I don't know. Sometimes that door is opening by itself. Like I don't know. And I was also thinking, okay, even if you forget your keys, would you sleep in the laundry room? Like, don't you have friends where you can crash at, or like someone that can come to help you out? And again, my landlord didn't answer. And one time, I got locked. Like, I went from my studio to the car, and I forgot the keys inside. So I called all of, like, I knocked the door, I called all of the thing. No neighbors answered because they never freaking answer ever. And so I'm like, I called my landlord and I was like, I'm sorry to bother you. It was like a Saturday morning, again, a Saturday morning. What is it with Saturday's morning, man? I'm like, I'm sorry to bother you, and I feel very awkward to ask you, but like, I'm locked out of my building. And he came in like 10 minutes. So, yeah. So then my landlord like actually answers, and he's like, I'm not in the United States. I'm coming tomorrow. My son will come to the address. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, what's happening right now? Like, why are you telling me that the son will come? Like, I don't, what is happening? 20 minutes, like between 20 and 30 minutes pass, and the police is here. So the guy, I guess he's shocked because the police is here. And there were two police officers. And I see them, so I open the door and I'm making like a sign to one of them, and he's coming. Like, one of them was talking with the other guy, and one of them came. And I said to the police officer, I'm the one who called you. And he was like, do you live here? And I said, yes. And he says, does he live here? And I was like, nope, I haven't seen him before. And they're like, okay. So then he goes and talks in Icelandic with the person. And I close my door and I'm like, okay, I guess they're going to talk to me afterwards, right? Because I thought that I need to sign something, or like, I don't know. So they talk in Icelandic. I don't understand Icelandic, so I don't know what they said. But I do think that I heard the name that the person said. And I feel like that name was on the door. And I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, shit, 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 shit. So then they talk for like a few minutes, and then the police officers just leave, and the guy still stays there. And I'm like, they didn't even talk with me anymore. Like, what is happening? And I was like, so then I was like, wait, is this person actually living here? Wait, is this the son of my landlord? Like, wait, what is happening right now? Like, this is not no, not normal. And the first time ever when I called 112, I actually called on a wrong, basically, thing, which I don't think it was wrong, but I just didn't know what the hell to do. So then I'm like, okay, so I'm never coming out of my apartment anymore. I'm like, my studio. I'm just gonna be here because the guy was still there. So then I think like 1 hour passes, or I don't know how much, like a time frame passes again, and then I hear the intercom in my apartment, and I jump out of the bed and go be like, okay, let me see, can I see? And so the guy was still there, so he's opening the door, And he's talking again with two people, and they are saying, and then they leave. And I'm like, okay, so this is clearly not okay. Nobody explained to me what happened. The landlord never called me back. Oh, and I I sent a message to the landlord, and I said that there was someone in the hallway for the whole morning. I came, the police, they came, the person is still here. So I am imagining, I still don't know what happened. So to the day, I still don't know what happened. Nobody actually came to talk to me about it. My landlord didn't say anything. So what I think has happened, this person that may or may not be the son of my landlord came to the building. They must have lost their key for the other apartment. They were hurt in a way. I don't know if when they got hurt, but what I know is that later that eventually he left, like around after 1 o'clock, like around 2 o'clock or something like that, he left. So I still wanted to do my laundry. Remember that's how this everything started with me wanting to do my laundry. So I wanted to do my laundry, and I went there, and I saw a bit of a blood on like the washing machine door, like on the thing, and I'm like, oh my god, like this guy was not okay. What if he needed some stitches? Like, I don't, in a way, I feel guilty that I called the cops on my neighbor or possible neighbor or my landlord's son. But on the other hand, I'm like, but he really didn't seem okay. He really seemed that he needed help. And I was, first and foremost, I didn't know how to offer the help. But I was also scared that what if he attacks me? I'm sorry, I'm an easy target. It's not okay to say that, but I am. I am an easy target. So, like, I don't freaking know. So, this is what happened. I'm sorry that I don't have to, I have like the final thing, but this is what happened, and I still don't know what's happening. And the point is that I'm leaving on Tuesday, so I don't think I'm going to find out exactly what happened. Unless it was the son of my landlord and he's gonna tell me some stuff, probably soon. I don't know. So yeah, I'm curious to know from you, my listener, what would you have done? Because that's what I've done, and I'm curious to know anyone else in my shoes. What would you have done? Probably would have been a bit braver to go and actually talk with a person. In hindsight, that would must I just I don't. I've been a lot around people who are either drunk or you don't know what you can expect, so I'm not trying to find myself excuses. I mean, I guess this is what I've done this whole episode, but I'm just trying to explain, like, I don't think that I fully did the wrong thing. It's just that it's unfortunate that I didn't know this person that may or may not have been living in this building. And now I want to introduce to you a new segment in the podcast, which is about comfort zone stories. Today, I'm actually going to go to Reddit and read to you some of the stories that I found interesting. Hopefully, I'm going to inspire you to send your comfort zone story and talk about it. So, the first one is. It's like very old. It's written like 9 years ago. But even though some things happened in the past, that doesn't mean that it's not interesting, right? So, for example, this person says, picking up and moving someplace completely different. I lived in a small town in Texas and moved to New York City. I lived in Manhattan for 6 years and was able to really find myself, what I value in life, and how to strive for it. For all of my listeners, you probably know that I'm obsessed with New York. I mean, I'm going to New York in a few days. I mean, when you're listening, it's literally tomorrow. If you're listening on Monday. If not, I'm already in New York. And so I totally understand moving to New York City. What's interesting is that the person said that they found themselves. And I always love these kind of stories, like traveling stories, when you find yourself. But I have to say, like, this is how I felt about Iceland. But I also realized that it wasn't only Iceland; it was also the age when I got to Iceland, because I got to Iceland when I was 29. My 30th birthday was in Iceland, and so kind of something switched me. But I did uh, started to be more confident while being in Iceland. Now it's either being just because I was in Iceland or because I was 30, or it's a combination of those two. But I actually um, I actually believe that when you move to another place and you have to figure stuff by your own, more or less, it's going to help you find who you are. But I want to continue what the person says, because somebody is asking, like, how, like, what's the story behind this. So they are saying, I went to New York to go to theater school. After I graduated, I did 3 off-Broadway shows and realized it just wasn't something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I was much happier working a 9 to 5 real estate company and having time to save money, travel, and live life. This is very interesting, right? Because when you think about it, everybody wants to leave the 9 to 5 job and just go and follow their dreams. But sometimes, and this is what I really hate when people are bashing those who are working. They're like, no, you don't do your 9 to 5 because da la 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 la. And I hate it because, especially for, and I'm not like, everybody should do what they feel like they want to do, as long as they don't hurt any other people. They should really truly care of what they want to do, like not think about what expectations are. And I truly believe in that. But I also think that it's so hard to know what you want to do. And that's why it's amazing to try new things, to truly find out what is it that you really like and how you can support yourself, basically. But I dislike when all of these digital nomads are kind of bashing or blaming the people working 9 to 5 jobs, when in a way the people who are working the 9 to 5 jobs are sustaining the economy sometimes in a better way than the digital nomads. Now, there are a lot of digital nomads all over the place, but some of them, they don't pay any taxes, and some of them, they don't um, bring anything to the culture that they moved to. So this is a longer conversation and so on, obviously. But I just wanted to give this example that I really love it. So then, yeah, they continue a little bit more about their experience, right? So they say, sure, it's so somebody's asking, like, I'm also from Texas and I'm thinking to go to New York, so could you tell us more? So they are saying, sure, it's an amazing place to live when you're in your early 20s. Always something fun to do. Bars stay open till 4 a.m. There's ample recreational things to find. The personal relationships you have with people tend to be a bit different. Even my close friends there, and I wasn't very close with. I had a few of my Texan friends come and visit, and they were very much echoed the point. I lived there for a long time and was able to see the entire city and would still consider myself a New Yorker to anyone from the Northeast. The main issue I had was no central heat or AC, like window units, ACs, and radiators in the winter blow, and walking everywhere in the snow or rain, and they didn't enjoy that. But so, so this is actually, I love this because, again, I love New York, so eventually, hopefully, I'm gonna move there, and probably I'm gonna change my I'm going to change my mind after moving to New York. But coming from Iceland, where it's like the weather is always horrible, and I'm over it, and it's either too dark or too light, and it's too windy or too stormy, or you know, even though, to be fair, September was a really great, amazing month, weather-wise in Iceland. Um, it is interesting to see someone having this opinion about New York, but I also think it's very important where you're coming from. So wherever your destination is, it's very, very interesting to see this kind of reaction, basically, right? I really think that this is something uh, that we can all consider if or when or we move to a new place. For sure, it's something to consider. So what I'm trying to say, I'm doing the what I'm trying to say that I was blaming love. You need to listen to the previous episode to know what I mean. So I think that it's important when you move to another place to actually to have been experiencing it for like all sort of weather, because a lot of people are telling me like, oh my god, the Iceland is amazing, and I'm like, it is, but if you don't break the barrier of just being a foreigner, you're not gonna have a good time for a long time. Or if you don't find your community, and that's one of the things that I truly, truly aspire to find my own community. But if I'm not finding it in Iceland, then I need to go and find it somewhere else. So yeah, that's my opinion. Let me know, have you ever moved to another country? How do you feel about this kind of challenges in life and leaving your comfort zone, of living basically outside of your town or country or county or whatever you want to call it. And I want to talk about one more, also from Reddit. And I love this, and I'm going to tell you in a second why. Roller coasters. I've been terrified of roller coaster and heights since I was a kid. I'm 26 and went to Six Flags for the first time this past October. Had an absolute blast. And then somebody's like, oh, like, so then he continues or they continue, I don't know. The one thing I kept telling myself in line was, if these 7-year-olds can do it, then I can do it. You should try again and remind yourself that kid, you did it, so it should be a piece of cake as adult you. So I want to say, I'm not afraid of roller coasters, but I wouldn't go on all of them. There are some limits where I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. But I did go to the last time when I went on a roller coaster was back in 2018 when I was in Chile. And if you want to read about that adventure, you can do so on my website, which is alinaigrad.com. And you can just search button Chile and you can find Fantasilandia, if I remember correct, that's the name, in Santiago, in the capital. And that was a lot of fun for me. Not so much fun for the friend I was with. But yeah, so facing your fears like this, it's always amazing. And obviously there are some risks, and obviously some things can go wrong. It really depends on your fear. But the fact that roller coasters are supposed to be fun, and you at the end you enjoy it, and you're like, I'm just gonna go for it and see how it goes, and thinking the kids can do it, then I can do it. I actually don't believe that, because as a kid, you are not understanding the dangers of all the stuff that can go wrong. And this is why it's harder for you as an adult, because you are starting to understand more and more of the things that can go wrong. And I don't like, normally kids, they don't actually understand mortality that well. So I don't fully agree with the person that just because the 7-year-old can do it, then I can do it. I'm like, no, because they don't know what I know. So but I can tap into my child's like inner child brain and fully go kid on a roller coaster. But what I like about that is the fact that it reminded me how I have a fear of. I don't like to have phobias. I'm going to be honest about it. So I don't like to have phobias. And I went to therapy many, 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 many years ago. They told me that I have generalized anxiety. And we talked about some of my phobias, and some of them were of darkness, and the other one of spiders. Now, I'm not fully freaking out that much about the spiders. I mean, I've seen a tarantula in Amazon, like on Amazon River in Ecuador, just above me. And I mean, I didn't die and I didn't cry, which is amazing because I used to cry when my brother would show me pictures of spiders. So from that to that, I think but I wasn't feeling comfortable, which I think it's okay to not feel comfortable of stuff that you don't necessarily enjoy. But another thing that I did, and let's bring it all together because it's still Iceland and how I fully enjoyed and embraced my Iceland experience is this thing. I am scared of big. I don't even understand of big what. It's like big, like trucks, I guess, or some sort of transportation, something. And the biggest fear when it comes to this is boats, like big ship and so on. I feel like it's going to crash over me. I feel like very horrible. So I used to go a little bit in the port here in Iceland because it was also my first time living in a city that has a port. So I used to go in a port and I would just like, I wouldn't go very, very close, but I would go like, I would just go kind of here and then feel comfortable or not and then do a few more steps. But on the way, close to one of the places where I used to work, there was a wooden small boat that I mean, not that small, but it was she. The boat is a she. Because, okay, do you know why I'm saying she? Because in my language, boat, we have genders for objects. So boat is a she. Sorry, but that's how it is in my language. So that's why I already, like, I have it as a she. Okay, that aside, it was on land. So it was more like an exhibition of a boat. And I wanted to go and be able to touch the freaking boat. And it took me a few weeks. I kept going closer and closer and closer and closer. And then eventually one day I was close enough and then I went and I touched it. I was shaking and I started crying. I touched the boat, I started crying, and then I went around it. And on the other side, the name of the boat was Freedom. So it's just so much metaphors, like so much freaking metaphors. So yeah, I just wanted to share these two comfort zone stories with you, and please go ahead and tell me your comfort zone story. Again, it doesn't actually need to be only physical. It can be from the journey within. So if you want to share your story, you're gonna hear in a moment how you can do that. I would love to hear from you. Also, what is comfort zone for you? Because I think this is how it all starts. So get in touch with me and let me know how you experience comfort zone and getting outside of the comfort zone. This concludes today's episode. Thank you for listening and for reviewing Traveling Inside Out. If you want to get in touch with me, send an email to podcast@alinaigrad.com. And remember, your outer journey begins with inner.